Okay. Hello, everyone, and thanks for taking time away from your I'm sure is a very busy schedule to be here today to participate in this workshop. I've got 20 minutes for my sharing, and I shouldn't take all of 20 minutes. And I'm going to try and speak slowly as well. So if you do have any questions or if you find that I'm speaking too fast, please drop a message. I am not able to access my messages because I'll be focusing on the presentation. So I trust Pang will prompt me if somebody needs me to speak slowly or to repeat a point or to explain a point. So today I will be speaking about activists experiencing crisis of meaning. And my breakout session afterwards will also explore this topic, where participants will be able to do a couple of exercises to understand what this means and what this looks like for them and how to overcome it. So what is a crisis of meaning? Hang on. Okay. A crisis of meaning is when we have a way of understanding the world, yeah, a way to develop or have a sense of coherence, the way we make sense of the world and our lives in it, and also how we find purpose in our lives when that has been disrupted. And the things that can cause disruptions in that lead to crisis of meaning include experiences of failure, illnesses, dealing with disabilities, when we have to face death, when we have personal life crises like a divorce or an end of a relationship or a loss of a job. And we experience meaning or meaningfulness based on the validation of our lives as coherent, significant, directed, and belonging. So what that means is my experience in my family, because I believe that love is important and connection with other human beings is important, and mutuality and reciprocity are important elements in an equal relationship. I'm very lucky to experience that in my family. And so because that is validated for me, I can see it happening in, amongst others around me, and I can sustain my belief that it is an important part of people's lives, and that is an important aspect of my work. So that gives me a coherence, right? And it's significant. So where there will be a break of that in my family, for example, this is where I will experience a crisis of meaning, and there will be a rupture in how I connect my own meaningfulness in life and the work that I do, which is about building a more equal world. Okay, I hope I'm making sense. So, a positive appraisal of these meaningfulness, these aspects of meaningfulness, occurs unconsciously. I don't need every moment of every day or every relationship in my life to validate this experience for me. I experience it, and it happens unconsciously. My life is able to proceed day after day after day because this is happening on an unconscious level. However, when there is a break in the sense of meaningfulness, that is when I become consciously aware of this breakdown, and this conscious awareness can lead to a crisis of meaning. Okay. So when people experience crisis of meaning, they will often experience their lives as being frustrating, empty, and pointless. right? And it's not just an experience, it's a judgment. We would start to question things. We would start to, feel like everything that we do doesn't seem to have a point. It's an existential state, okay? It is one of reflection, of one of day-to-day experience, and can result in anxiety. It can result in negative affect. That means negative feelings. It could be mood changes. Um, can result in pessimism. Yeah, we develop a very negative view of things, of the world, of the future, of relationships. And also from a personal perspective and a health perspective, can result in lesser resilience. Okay, we would give up more easily. All right, and that's where we have a negative effect on our motivation. We derive less life satisfaction. We experience a reduction in hope. We struggle to self-regulate and feel self-efficacy. That means our confidence can also be affected. And on a medical level, this can also result in stress, depression, anxiety, and as I've mentioned, decreased resilience. And so what that can also mean is physical resilience. We might fall sick more often. We might feel a lot more tired more frequently. Where previously we could go for longer hours in terms of work or activities, we find that we get more tired easily. Okay. So these are more physical and psychological manifestations of what crisis of meaning can look like. So why do activists specifically experience crisis of meaning? And we might be prone to or more susceptible to crisis of meaning, okay? Because oftentimes our worldview or our ideology is challenged, right? I'll give you an example. Like I said earlier, I believe in equality amongst all human beings, right? But very often in my work, I come across people who have experienced abuse, severe trauma, which is a result of inequality, right? It's because of unequal power relations between humans that results in abuse. And so when I see that, it can challenge my belief, it can challenge my perspectives on equality. Okay. The current state of the world challenges our ideas of a rules-based order and even the idea of human rights. Okay, we have what's happening in our region, for example. And on an international level, we are seeing right now, over the last 1 year, a genocide taking place. And still, it's been going on for a year, and all these structures that were built to make sure something like this doesn't happen again seem to be struggling to deal with the situation. So that can also lead to a crisis of meaning. States, all right, our countries, in our region, internationally, are actively participating in denial of human rights. Okay, that's linked to the earlier example, so I won't go into that. Rising authoritarianism and shrinking of democratic spaces. I think we see this most clearly in, for example, the work that's being done on climate change. Activists who are protesting against climate change, especially youth and young people, are facing far more severe sanctions compared to people who are actively contributing to climate change. all of us would probably feel this in our work, all of you, I mean, work that needs to be done versus available resources, right? I saw so many of you respond that you would like more time, more me time. We experience time as a very limited resource, and we need to sleep, we need to eat, we need to rest, and then, the work that needs to be done always seems more and more insurmountable. This can all lead to a sense of helplessness. Many of us, I'm sure, have felt at many points in our work lives the sense that there's nothing to do, or a sense that we are constantly fighting fires. It's one fire after the next one. And this can also result in feeling stuck, right? Many of us can feel frustrated because we feel like we're doing the same thing over and over again, and there doesn't seem to be any foreseeable result. Many of us also derive a lot of personal meaning and our identities from the work that we do, okay? Going back to the example of my belief in equality, it's something that I practice in my work. It doesn't end when I stop work. This is something I believe in, and so I carry on into my personal life as well. It is something that I'm known as. It's something that people feel safe in their relationships with me for. And it can also, be the same when you're working based on your political beliefs or your ideologies. It doesn't stop when we stop working, right? So there's a blurring between our professional selves and our personal selves, and that makes it we're more vulnerable to developing a crisis of meaning. So, it's not that we can't do anything about it. We can do, and I'll first talk about individual action, and then I'll talk about organizational action. So individual action, I think one of the best things to do would be to focus on well-being. Here I have the definition of well-being that has been provided by the World Health Organization, who say that it is a positive state that is experienced by individuals and societies. Like health, it is a resource for daily life determined by social, economic, and environmental conditions. So I have placed in bold the words quality of life, right? A sense of being able to contribute to the world with meaning and purpose. And also where we can have equitable distribution of resources, overall thriving and sustainability. And we will be able to develop from this a capacity for action and be able to transcend challenges. Now, I would like to bring attention to these words in bold because the next slide, I'm going to recommend some forms of action that are connected to these ideas as well. All right. Connected to the well-being would be how we measure well-being. It is not an abstract concept, okay? There are ways to measure well-being. And the 5 measures, the 5 items on a scale that the WHO uses is cheerfulness and good spirits, feeling calm and relaxed, feeling active and vigorous, feeling fresh and rested, and feeling like or a sense that your daily life has been filled with things that interest you. So using these 5 elements of the WHO well-being scale, you can do things or you can incorporate things in your daily life that help you build a sense of well-being that will then help create a reconnection to a sense of meaning. So, doing things that make you feel cheerful and good spirits. This can include a simple act like watching a YouTube channel or a show on your favorite streaming app that makes you laugh or makes you feel good, right? Feeling calm and relaxed. I know this can feel like an impossible task, but incorporating meditation exercises or stretching exercises or even exercises that are focused on calming the body can be a way for you to inculcate that as a daily practice. Feeling active and vigorous. Now, I know this is something that I struggle with as well, incorporating a exercise regime, which doesn't have to be too strenuous. Feeling fresh and rested means that we would have to fix our sleep schedules or develop better sleep or rest hygiene. And finally, filling your life with things that interest you. Having hobbies, and it doesn't have to be expensive hobbies that make you feel engaged. Having social connections that engage you, or having a life outside of work that sustains your interest. Another thing to try and practice is to have a sense of self-control, okay? And by self-control, I don't mean on a spiritual level, but more on a day-to-day level, where we feel an ability to modify your responses, to interrupt negative thinking or undesired thinking, feelings, or behaviors, okay? Where you can think about future action and what you can do to bring about future action that you want, okay? And a possible point for action, which is something that we'll do in the breakout groups, would be realigning your relationship with work. Now, it's not just an individual responsibility to address this, but also organizational responsibility and things that organizations can do to inculcate a sense of well-being and to help people regain a sense of meaning would be to make sure that well-being and mental health awareness is incorporated in all levels of organizational planning. Right? Is it necessary for the organization to have a realignment exercise of vision and mission? Would it be necessary for the organization to reconfigure desired outcomes? I know a lot of work that NGOs do tend to be funder oriented or target oriented. Do those elements need to be reviewed so that it's more, you can reconcile it with your staff or with your team's actual capacities? To increase collective agency of the staff members and the organization through socially coordinative and interdependent effort. All right. Now, we all live in a capitalist world where the focus is more on independence and competition. And sometimes we may be unaware of the fact that we are bringing this into the way we work as well. So it's about having a conscious and intentional review of organizational culture to make sure that this is addressed and you're building a more interdependent organizational culture. And connected to that would be to cultivate solidarity across issues and populations. Again, there's a sense that you're constantly having to compete for resources. But if you realign that, you could develop a more solidarity-based approach to work. Addressing perfectionism. Organizations and people don't have to do everything. All right. Focus on the things that you can do and focus on doing it better instead of doing it well, right, and now. Cultivating a conducive group culture that's related to the point I made earlier about building interdependence. Reviewing decision-making processes, okay? Does there need to be more space for collective group making? Or what would it look like for the organization if you didn't have to make quick decisions, okay? That can also be something that can be done. And finally, practicing joy. And what that means is not about developing like a toxic positivity kind of sense, but actually celebrating gains when there are some, actually pointing out people's progress, changing group culture so that there is more of a sense of joy at work rather than feeling a sense of dread about meetings or other kinds of group activities. Shorter meetings is also a way for people to actually practice joy. Okay, I'm looking at the time. I've got 30 seconds left. So I'm going to end with a list of references. All of you will have access to the slides, so you can access the open source article that I've used, and also a book which I know is available online if you know where to look. Okay.